What if a drum could reveal your deepest secrets? Not with beats, but with words. Imagine, during the grandest festival, with the king and the whole kingdom watching, the sacred drum thunders, "The prince is a traitor." Would you believe it, or dare to question it? This is the tale of the king's talking drum, where truth itself becomes the loudest voice. In the Yoruba kingdom of Ayetoro, King Olabi ruled with a wise heart and a strong hand. His palace was built from red clay that glowed in the sun, and his people lived in peace, farming the rich lands and sharing stories under the stars. But the king's greatest treasure was not gold or jewels, it was the ancient drum, known as the talking drum of truth. Legends said the gods carved this drum from ancient wood, covered it with the skin of a holy animal, and tied its strings with threads woven from fate itself. The drum only spoke when hit during moments of great trouble, and when it did, its words came from the ancestors, full of wisdom and honesty. King Olabi protected the drum like a child. He often said, "As long as this drum speaks the truth, our kingdom will stand tall, unbreakable like the baobab tree." The people believed him, for the drum had saved the kingdom before, from droughts, wars, and even hidden enemies within. But lately, whispers floated through the villages. Some said the drum's power was fading. Others wondered if it could be deceived. The king ignored these talks, focusing on his duties and his family. Once a year, the whole kingdom came together for the Festival of Drums. It was a time of joy, with music echoing through the hills, dances that lasted from dawn to dusk, and offerings of yams and palm wine to thank the gods. Drummers played the gangan with fast beats and the batar with deep thumps, making the ground shake like thunder. Children ran around with faces painted in bright colors, red for strength, white for purity. Women wrapped themselves in colorful ashoke cloths, shimmering like rainbows. Hunters showed off their catches, like antelopes and birds, proving their skill. This year was special. King Olabi planned to name his son, Prince Adedayo, as the next ruler. The prince was tall and handsome, with a smile that won hearts. He helped in hunts, listened to the elders, and seemed perfect for the throne. But not everyone trusted him. Quiet rumors spread. Some said he was too eager for power, always talking to traders from far lands. Others whispered he crossed the river at night, meeting people who didn't belong in Ayetoro. Still, the festival started with cheers. The king and prince walked side by side through the crowd, waving to the people. Drums beat louder, fires crackled, and food smells filled the air, roasted plantains, spicy soups, and fresh fruits. Everyone thought it would be a day of pure happiness. But then, something unexpected happened. The talking drum began to hum softly, as if waking from a long sleep. The high priest stepped forward, pouring libations of cool water and strong wine onto the ground to honor the gods. The crowd grew quiet, eyes wide with respect. King Olabi raised his hand and said, "Bring forth the ancient drum. Let it bless this day and our future king." The royal drummer, a man named Akinbiyi with hands calloused from years of playing, approached with awe. He knelt before the drum, whispered a prayer, and then struck it with a steady rhythm, boom, boom, tat-tat boom. At first, it was just music, beautiful and strong. But then, the drum's voice changed. It wasn't beats anymore, it was clear words, booming like a storm. The prince has betrayed the land. The prince has broken his oath to his father and his people. The words hung in the air like smoke. People gasped, covering their mouths. The king's face turned dark, his eyes narrowing in shock. Prince Adedayo stood frozen, his hand clutching his chest as if struck by an arrow. "Father, this can't be. I am innocent, I swear on my life," the prince shouted, his voice cracking. But the villagers whispered among themselves, "The drum never lies. It's from the gods. What has the prince done?" Mothers hugged their children tighter, pulling them away from the stage. Warriors tightened their grips on spears, ready for trouble. Even the birds seemed to stop singing, as fear spread like wildfire through the festival. The joy vanished, replaced by confusion and anger. Some people cried, others argued. The high priest looked pale, muttering prayers. The king raised his arms for silence, but inside, his heart pounded with doubt. The festival turned to chaos. Could the kingdom trust its heir? That evening, the palace felt cold and empty, even with fires burning in every room. King Olabi sat on his throne, made of carved wood and elephant tusks. His golden crown felt heavier than a mountain. The talking drum sat in the shadows of the room, silent now but watching like a living thing. The king called his son and the chiefs to a private meeting. "My son," he said, his voice deep and tired. The drum spoke in front of everyone. "It called you a betrayer. Tell me the truth, what have you done?" Prince Adedayo dropped to his knees, his fine robes brushing the floor. "Father, I have done nothing wrong. I love this kingdom. Maybe an enemy has put a curse on the drum. Or perhaps jealous people are spreading lies to tear us apart." The chiefs, dressed in beads and feathers, nodded but looked uneasy. One chief, a tall man named Ogunlik, spoke up, "We must find out. Let us test the drum again. If it's cursed, we'll know. If not, the guilty must face justice." Old Ifagbemi, the wise palace elder with white hair and a staff carved from sacred wood, shook his head slowly. "The drum speaks only truth, as it has for generations. But sometimes, truth is hidden in the dark corners. We must search carefully, like hunters tracking a lion. Truth will come out, just as the sun rises every morning." The king sighed, rubbing his temples. Outside, the village was buzzing with talk. Some supported the prince, remembering his kind acts, like sharing food during hard times. Others doubted him, recalling his late-night trips. The palace guard stood alert, sensing trouble brewing. The trial of truth was announced. The whole kingdom would strike the drum. The next day, King Olabi announced a great trial to settle the matter. "Everyone, from nobles to farmers, will come and strike the ancient drum," he declared from the palace steps. "It will speak the truth about each one. And when the prince strikes it again, we will know for sure." The village square filled up quickly. People came from far huts, carrying baskets of food for the long day. Chiefs arrived first, their necks heavy with colorful beads. They struck the drum one by one. For some, it stayed quiet. For others, it whispered small secrets. This chief stole a neighbor's goat last moon. The crowd laughed nervously as the chief blushed and promised to make it right. Then came the hunters, their arms marked with scars from battles with wild animals. One struck the drum, and it said, "You hid a debt from your family." He hung his head, admitting it was true. Market women followed, their eyes sharp and voices loud. One woman, known for her spicy peppers, hit the drum. It boomed, "You broke a promise to your sister." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and vowed to fix it. As the sun climbed higher, more secrets spilled out, like rain from a full cloud. The people gasped and whispered, but they also felt a strange relief. The drum was fair, it didn't pick sides. Finally, it was Prince Adedayo's turn. The crowd went silent. He walked forward slowly, his hands shaking like leaves in the wind. Sweat dripped down his face. He raised the stick and struck the drum hard. It thundered a betrayal greater than before. The prince made a pact in the shadows. The prince walks with strangers who want to steal the throne for themselves. Chaos erupted. "Banish him! He's a traitor!" yelled some villagers, waving fists. "No, he's our prince. Give him a chance," shouted others, loyal friends from his hunts. The kingdom divided like a cracked pot, with arguments breaking out everywhere. Guards stepped in to stop fights, while the king watched with a heavy heart. That night, under a moonless sky, Prince Adedayo couldn't sleep. He slipped out of the palace, dressed in dark clothes, heading to the forest. He had to prove he was innocent, or at least find out who was behind this. Unknown to him, old Ifagbemi followed quietly, his old eyes sharp in the dark. The prince reached the riverbank, where tall grasses whispered in the breeze. Water rushed softly, hiding his footsteps. Suddenly, a cloaked figure appeared from the trees. "You came," the stranger said, his voice rough like gravel. Adedayo whispered angrily, "You promised me power, charms to make me a better ruler. But now the drum has exposed everything. The kingdom thinks I'm a betrayer." The stranger laughed, a sound like distant thunder. "Foolish prince. I gave you those charms, but they came with a price. I am from the rival kingdom across the river. My king wants your throne. You thought it was just magic? It was a trap to weaken Ayetoro from inside." Adedayo's face paled. "You tricked me. I only wanted to be strong like my father." The stranger smirked. "Too late now. Run, or face the drum's truth." He melted into the mist, leaving only footprints and the smell of strange herbs. Old Ifagbemi, hidden behind a tree, heard it all. He hurried back to the palace and woke the king. "Sire, the drum was right. Your son met a stranger, a spy from our enemies. But the prince was tricked, he didn't know the full plan. There's more, the stranger mentioned others in the kingdom who helped him." The king frowned. "Others? We must find them too." This new twist shocked everyone. The betrayal wasn't just the prince's, it was a bigger plot involving hidden traitors in the village. At dawn, the king gathered the people again in the square. Drums beat a samba rhythm as Prince Adedayo was brought forward in chains. The talking drum sat in the center, glowing in the morning light. "Adedayo," the king said loudly, the drum spoke. "The elders saw your meeting. And now we know of the stranger's trick. What do you say? The prince knelt, tears streaming down his face. Father, people, I was wrong. I met the stranger seeking power to rule well. He gave me charms, but I didn't know he was an enemy spy. I was foolish and greedy. Forgive me. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some felt pity, others anger. The king turned to the drum. Speak once more, ancient drum. Guide us. A volunteer struck it, and it said, The prince confesses. He was tricked, but his ambition opened the door. Punish, but show mercy. And seek the other traitors, the guard who let the stranger in, the merchant who carried messages. Gasps rose again. The king ordered searches. Soon, a palace guard and a market merchant were caught, admitting they took bribes from the stranger. The plot was deeper than anyone thought, a web of greed threatening the whole kingdom. The people debated, kill the prince. No, redeem him. Old Ifagbemi raised his staff. The ancestors say, justice without mercy is like a river without water, dry and lifeless. Let him learn. King Olabi listened to his people. He spared his son's life but took away his royal title. Adedayo, you will live among the farmers. Work the fields, plant yams, fetch water. Learn humility and true strength. Only when the people see your change can you return as heir. The prince nodded, accepting his fate. The traitors, the guard and merchant, were banished to the far lands, never to return. The stranger was hunted but slipped away, a warning for the future. The kingdom healed slowly. People talked more openly, sharing secrets before they grew big. The talking drum was placed back in the palace, its silence a promise of peace. One evening, by a warm fire, old Ifagbemi gathered the children. He told them, the talking drum teaches us that lies shine like fake gold, but truth beats strong and clear, like a drum calling everyone to listen. And remember, even kings can fall into traps, but mercy lifts us all. So, my friends, if you owned a drum that always told the truth, who would you ask to hit it first? Your best friend? Your leader? Or would you dare to strike it yourself? Share your ideas in the comments below.